River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Niner Nuts. I'm Dan, here along with James. James, say hello.
What's up, Niner Nation?
Once again, we are without Eric for this episode, but nonetheless, we have a very interesting debate that we are going to be bringing to you, and that is after the performance Brock Purdy had yesterday against your Eagles. James, where is he in the MVP race, and can we finally have some legitimacy behind his name? And to assist with this debate, I have the MVP list up here in front of me, courtesy of DraftKings, subject to change. Obviously, check if you can gamble in your state. We're just using these as a base reference. These are the odds as of Monday the 4th, just to get all that fine print out of the way. Anyway, as we can see here, Brock Purdy is now first. He is at plus 300 to win MVP in first place, and Jalen Hurts only went down slightly to plus 350, tied for second place with Dak Prescott. Tua is fourth with 700. Lamar Jackson, 900. Patrick Mahomes at 900. It's kind of nice to see Patrick Mahomes, some kind of MVP fatigue. Plus, I mean, he had a really bad game yesterday against the Packers. Kind of choked on primetime there. But no, I mean, James, what do you think looking at this now that it's kind of gotten reshuffled a little bit? Has Purdy done enough to finally cement his name and kind of say, hey, you know what? I can actually be an MVP candidate too.
Well, yeah, I mean, for sure. He just went out. The 49ers just went out and destroyed what everybody thought was the best team in the league. So, and Purdy put up numbers against, the Eagles, unlike anybody has had, this season. So Purdy being at number one does not bother me. Jalen being plus 350 does not bother me. I don't like the Dak love on this list. I don't know why Dak is somewhere on this list because,
if we're just talking strictly numbers, I mean, Dak Prescott's not putting up bad numbers, and he's at home leading the charge to blowing out people by 400, like 40-point blowouts every time they're at home.
But that's he's riding the curtails of his defense. It's like, I mean, how many pick sixes does Bland need to have to get on this list? Like seriously,
that's true. Yeah,
like he's more like, to me, he's a lot. He's going off the curtails of his defense, and basically like he just doesn't have to make too many mistakes. But you look at the Seattle game, I don't think Dak deserves to be at plus 350. I would put him back more in the Tua at plus 700. And I would put Lamar at plus 700. Mahomes at plus 900 is fine for me. But I mean, yeah, Brock deserves to be at the top, I think. So unless Brock really poops the bed, these final games going out and they don't look all that well, he should win the MVP for sure.
He's had the individual quarterback numbers to have been in this argument well before this point. Like maybe not during the Midwest Nightmare skid that we had, of course. Like even still, no, they weren't great numbers, but I mean they weren't putrid numbers. He only had a really bad game against Cleveland, and even still, we only lost that game because Moody missed a kick. But outside of that, when we started the season so hot, and now that we're back on track and we actually have a legitimate shot at number one, plus all the emotional weight that we put behind making that statement win against Philly, like all those factors weigh into it. But what I was trying to say at first, the stats, it's not an argument. He is hands down the most efficient quarterback in the league right now.
He is.
You don't get a quarterback that is at the bottom tier of attempts per game, but you're number one in yards per attempt. You don't get a quarterback consistently at 70% completion or better. You don't get a quarterback that's consistently high 90s or better. He's had more games over 100 than below 100 now at this rate. Like, we've talked about it on multiple episodes. The team's just not letting him get into a position where he has to do a comeback win. And like, that's the only thing we haven't seen him do successfully. We've seen him fail twice. And I wish Eric was here because I can remind you guys again that he has been in one other like real head-to-head nail biter, that Vegas game. I really recommend you guys rewatch those highlights because that game was nuts.
Yeah.
But we've seen more times than not that Purdy, there's no such thing as pressure to Purdy. Even when we end up losing the game and he takes all the blame on himself, like, he is virtually never the reason we lose a game. Like, that one bad decision he made in Minnesota, that's pretty much the only game that I could squarely put on his shoulders. Like, but even still, that's oversimplifying it. There's many reasons we should have not got blown out in that game. But no, as we've seen, especially in this win streak, this is not a product of Kyle Shanahan. I'm getting very tired of that argument because we've seen so many quarterbacks not work this system at maximum efficiency. Jimmy did fine. He was far from perfect, but he just did fine. And that was the best quarterback we had before Purdy, because Nick Mullins, CJ Beathard, Brian Hoyer, every other quarterback that went through just couldn't move the ball. They were very mediocre to average at best, or had a flash in the pan moment like Mullins and then just whiff out. And it just adds to the narrative that he was the last pick in the draft. Like, yes, that's another one of those emotional things that's just gets added to the story. But taking that out of it and just looking at, like, he's one of the 32 starting quarterbacks in the league, I just really don't understand what the argument is that he's not the best one that's playing right now. He's playing better than Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes just crapped the bed yesterday against Green Bay. He's playing better. He played better than Hurts yesterday. Hurts couldn't handle our defense yesterday. Hurts being second, I'm completely fine with, because Hurts is a great quarterback. And I'm not just saying that. Like, he is a great quarterback. Prescott's not a bad quarterback. He's just, it's the aura of being with Dallas and Mike McCarthy holding him back. Like, he's not a bad quarterback, though. I love crapping on him, though, so I'm not going to stop doing that. But and Lamar Jackson's not a bad quarterback. Lamar Jackson's a great quarterback. But again, if this is a truly fair award where it's just strictly on how you perform at your job, which you can measure by the numbers, it's been Purdy pretty much every single week this year, except during that Midwest Nightmare skid.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. And I'm okay with, after yesterday's game, for him to be at the top of the MVP race. I mean, you look at what that team did against Tua, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott had a decent day against Philly, but
against who? Sorry,
against Philly. I believe he had a decent day against Philly, but at the same time, Purdy is just far outshined when you look at the numbers. If you want a highlight reel of comebacks and big plays in comebacks and just MVP type plays, that's where Jalen Hurts comes in. Because during that 4 or 5 stretch run where they were behind in the halves, going in the halftime, and then he came back and won. Like, some of those plays are insane, especially, the other week when he made a pass to OZ in the end zone, like just over the defender's head, right where his receiver could catch it in the back of the end zone, to take the lead, So that's where Jalen has his MVP case. Like, he's gone through, sort of a gauntlet, and he's been down in a lot of the games, and he's had MVP moments to write to his story that, whereas Brock Purdy, yeah, he has the numbers and he's playing ahead and all of that. And I'm not saying he's not playing like an MVP, but if you're going to put on a highlight reel, of of MVP moments, it's going to be Jalen Hurts over Brock Purdy, I think.
That's something that that's something that is a little different than between the two of them. I can understand somebody kind of looking at it in like a movie or TV kind of way. Brock Purdy is a star of an ensemble, but it's still like an ensemble where everybody could get nominated for like SAG or Oscars. Again, he's very, very good at being a quarterback, but it's not him rising to like what you like to say is the quarterback really not carrying the team, but like truly being the face of the team. There's a lot of faces on San Francisco. Christian's a face. George is a face. Fred is a face. Purdy is a face. Kyle is a face. The face of the Eagles is Jalen Hurts. Like, it's Jalen's team. He's not like the reason. Like, he is the biggest factor, though. You have a lot of talent on your roster, and it's not like Aaron Rodgers where he was making bad receivers look good. Jalen's got two phenomenal receivers, and when Goddard comes back, he's got a phenomenal tight end. But he's elevated himself to a level where he is the Eagles. Like, it's not Sirianni, it's not AJ Brown. I mean, no offense to AJ Brown, but it is Jalen. So he has that, and Purdy doesn't. But
yeah,
that's more of a product of, again, ensemble versus like you're the star of this movie. Like if that metaphor makes sense.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about here. Like, if you want an MVP highlight reel, it's Jalen. If you want the most dominant guy in the NFL, it's Purdy. And that's really what it is. And, Jalen has a lot of weapons too, but, those type of games where it's like, we're behind, get on my shoulders, and we're going to win this game type of attitude that Jalen has, whereas Purdy still hasn't faced that situation. And I'm not saying he can't do it or won't do it. He just doesn't have it yet. He just doesn't have those moments. And that's the only difference really between him and Jalen as far as like whose case for the MVP are you really going to take? Are you going to take Brock, who dominated everybody, or are you going to take Jalen, who had to face a lot of adversity and a lot of big games and came through, So yeah, it's just who you like. And I mean, if Jalen finishes this out, at 15-2, and basically, carries his team, the same way that he has been all season. The only thing Purdy's just going to have, like, I dominated against every single team that we won against, and I beat you too. So it's an interesting debate, and, it's a hard one, for a voter to sit down. Like I said, if Jalen goes 15-2 and Brock finishes, 14-3, there's one win difference between them. And yeah, Jalen has the highlight reel and Purdy has the big numbers. And so, yeah,
that's one of those things that, like, it's going to be measured against him, as we could debate if that's fair or not, because we talked about it in the last episode that our team just doesn't let him get in those positions. So, I mean, that's what I'm not trying to open that up to a whole debate. Like, it's just that, yes, Hurts, that's part of the narrative that Hurts had to carry the team on his back many, many times. The team around Purdy has made it so he hasn't had to do that more than 2, 3, maybe 4 total times, because every other time Purdy just gets to have the advantage of having a team that's been in the top 5, if not top 3 overall defense in the league each of the last 4 years. Like, he just gets to plug and play, and he's doing his part. He's playing quarterback right, and he's playing quarterback well. But no, that's going to weigh into it. Like I said, if it was strictly number based, I think Purdy would be flying away with this. But no, it's narrative is going to be a big part of it. And that's a big thing that Jalen also has, that he's the face of the team and he's faced more adversity. It's no one's fault. Like,
yeah.
But
and that's
Purdy just doesn't get called to that because our team is fortunate enough to not let him get in that situation that often. I just wish that didn't weigh into the voting, even though, yes, I know it is. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to complain about it. It's just what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it just, those are the two leaders. I don't know why Prescott is as high as he is next to Jalen.
Because Dallas fans have money and gambling is legal in Texas, and they just want to put it out there that Dak is going to actually get considered MVP this year. Like,
there's always too much love for the Cowboys. Like, I just feel like there's always so much love for the Cowboys. And then,
what do you expect when your team has been dubbed America's team without any of the rest of America getting a say in that?
Like, yeah, and you're going to need to put up the black mark, because this is what I got to say to America's team. The birthplace of Philadelphia, birthplace of America is Philadelphia. We're America's team. Screw all that, Dallas. They're not America's team. And
really, if we go back all the way in history, America's team would be the Bears, the Packers, the Lions, or the Cardinals. Really, if we're starting with, like, if we're going all the way back, like,
what are you talking about? We're going back to when this country was declared a country and separated from England. They literally did it in Philadelphia. On July,
so beyond 4th, the scope of football is where you're going.
Beyond the scope of football, yes. The birthplace of America, the first time the forefathers wrote it on paper, signed their names, took their life in their own hands, and declared to the King of England, we don't want to be a part of England anymore. We want our independence. Happened on July 4th, 1776 in Philadelphia. That's why we are America's team.
God bless America. No, I mean, really, God, that's so funny. And you two are in the same division. No, I would much rather you guys, like, it would fit your it would fit your profile too, with the way that Philly fans are stereotyped. Like, I'm surprised you haven't tried to co-opt that back.
I mean,
or just co-opt it in general, not back.
Oh, we do it all the time. Like, every time Dallas comes up as America's team, every single Eagles fan will bring that up. Like, you can't deny it. What's American? A cowboy or Ben Franklin? Like, Ben Franklin's more American than a cowboy, because the cowboy didn't sign the Declaration of Independence.
You have an eagle. You don't even have to say Ben Franklin. You got an eagle. Like,
we got a bald eagle. We got the national bird. That's our mascot. Like, Dallas,
like, a cowboy's cute, and a cowboy is American. We created the cowboy, sure, but no, the eagle is the face of the country.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. We should be America's team. People don't like us. We don't care, but that's how we feel. And so every Eagles fan will look at this list and say, and I think any logical football fan would look at Dak Prescott at plus 350 at the same point where Jalen Hurts is and say, this is effing ridiculous. Like,
no, he is not. He's had very good games, but no, I would, if you were, like, gun to your head and told which quarterback is going to lead you in a 2-minute drill, I would take Jalen, like, without question, not skip a beat. I would take Jalen.
Yeah. Minute 30, one timeout, down 7 points. You're going with Jalen easily.
Yeah, they both have really good arms, but in terms of instinct and decision making and understanding and, like, just being in pressure, Jalen time and time again has done better than Dak Prescott. We've seen Dak Prescott in prime time completely crumble multiple times.
Yeah, and he crumbles every year in the divisional round. Every year in the divisional round, that's it. That's where the Cowboys end. So, and we all know the story. I mean, if you haven't read, look up Amari Cooper and what he said about Dak Prescott.
Oh, my God. I was in tears laughing when I read that. That was so funny.
Yeah, Jalen has had, before the 49ers game, had 5 straight wins when he was down by 10 plus points. in a row, 5-0 in his 5-0 in the last 5 games against, being down 10 plus points. The only other quarterbacks to do that were Joe Montana and some dude from 1950. That's it. That's it. That's the only two quarterbacks that had ever done that. So yeah, I think when you look at the league and the way things are, if you want to crown a comeback king right now, the comeback king is Jalen. And that's plain and simple. It's not Dak Prescott. And we know Brock Purdy hasn't done it. I'm not trying to hold that against him, but he just hasn't been in that opportunity. But it's not Tua. You could put it on Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes has come back in some big games. But really, if you're just going with,
I was gonna say Patrick Mahomes has won it twice. I feel like he's met the criteria before.
Yeah, but if you were just to take this season and look at it at face value and say who's captain comeback this season, it's obviously Jalen. No doubt about it. That's this season.
All these quarterbacks that are on this list, who do I want in crunch time? Yeah, no, it's I as much as it pains me, no, Jalen. I say that only because the 2 times I've seen Purdy in legit crunch time, I credit to Eric for reminding us that he did do it once. The kick was just missed. But then the other time, yeah, he threw a pick and just got caught up in the moment. And I'm not conspiracy that it was a concussion symptom that made him throw the pick. But yeah, no, just it's what it is. Just Jalen's been there before. Jalen's been there before in Purdy's. This is only his 2nd year, dude. Let's remember that too. This is only his 2nd year, and he's playing this damn good.
I mean, honestly, his number should be 31 because that's how many teams passed on him. And maybe
to be fair, we passed on him 6 times.
Yeah, I mean, so he was brought in for a backup, and the 49ers, I'll say, got lucky. That's what they did. It's a lucky pick. You can't argue that it's not a lucky pick.
Oh, no. Literally none of this should have happened. Based on history and how these things go with other people and every other team, this is truly uncharted territory. And we've been in uncharted territory for a good while now for different reasons each of the last couple of years. But this one, dude, a quarterback this young, Russell Wilson was the last time a quarterback this young went through and won the Super Bowl. And before him, it was Big Ben. And that was a decade between both of them.
Big Ben and Russell weren't this good in their 2nd year.
Oh, no.
They both were riding a defense, and they weren't putting up, Madden numbers. And that's what this team is doing. They're putting up.
It's Madden a defense numbers. And those numbers.
It's a defense and those numbers. So, yeah, I mean, this is, he wears 13 because he loves Dan Marino. This is Dan Marino. I shouldn't say he's Dan Marino right now, but if you looked at how Dan progressed throughout his career, in his 2nd season, he had a tremendous year, a breakout year. He was doing,
he was the most efficient quarterback of his time, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was a gunslinger, so he threw a lot of picks. But you look at that 1984 season when it was his 2nd year and before teams were really passing the ball. Literally, he beat the closest. I mean, when we're talking beat record-wise, he crushed the passing record by 700 yards. Crushed the touchdown record by 16 touchdowns.
What was the record? Did he cross? No, he didn't cross 5,000. It was like 46.
He crossed 5,000. He was the first quarterback to cross 5,000, and that record stood until Drew Brees broke it 20 years later, and when everybody's passing. But that 48 touchdown thing, Peyton Manning has beaten it twice. Patrick Mahomes has beaten it, but everybody's passing. You look at what the record was before Dan had that season. It was 32 by Johnny Unitas. 32 in a season. Dan threw.
Purdy could hit
48.
Purdy hits 32 next week.
Yeah, Dan hit 48 in a time where people were not passing the ball, and that's And that's how great, I mean, this season by Brock Purdy in his second year. I'm just looking at second years because, Patrick Mahomes has, had 50 touchdown seasons and things like that.
That was his second year, by the way.
Oh, that was his second year. Okay. So yeah,
first year as a starter, second year in the league, and beat us in the Super Bowl, ran away. Yeah, no, he was a freight train his second year.
Yeah, I mean Peyton Manning, but that's
or no, Super Bowl was his third year. I'm sorry.
But Purdy is, sort of like that in his second year, where he's showing a lot of promise, and he's up there with legends, but he's also up there with Carson Wentz, So yeah, I mean, we'll see.
So we're a torn ACL away from completely flaming out of the league. Well, he's already busted his elbow. I mean, hopefully that's the only catastrophic injury he has in his career.
True. But the last time we had a second-year quarterback look this good was Patrick Mahomes, but then the quarterback before that was like Carson Wentz. And so who knows when leagues start to figure him out, when teams actually start to figure him out and have a year's worth of tape on them.
That's a good that's a good question too, because 9 games worth of, or was it 9 games last year? Yeah, well, including the playoffs, it was like 10. But no, all that tape that we had from last year hasn't seemed to stop him now. And this is post-surgery too. Like,
yeah.
So as long as Kyle is still his coach and Brian Greasy is still talking to him on the sideline, shout out to Brian Greasy, by the way. Jesus Christ. Brian Greasy, I mean, we've already hyped him up a lot on the show, but no, I'm trying to think. Yeah, Carson, just to make sure people heard me this time. Yes, Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl his second year as a starter, third year in the league. I apologize. I don't want angry Chiefs fans. And then, yes, Carson Wentz was amazing his second year. Was there another quarterback between Carson and Russell Wilson that was in a second year, not slump, second year, amazing year? The opposite of slump?
Not to this level, not MVP level.
Or no, Andrew Luck was at the same time. Andrew Luck was the same draft as Russell Wilson. So
yeah, but he wasn't having an MVP season like his second year.
No, and that would have been in competition with Russell Wilson too, when Russell clearly went the distance.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting. We're watching history, dude. But I don't know. Hopefully the rest of this year goes not like last year. I mean, we're already off to a much better start than we were last year. We haven't lost 2 quarterbacks up to this point yet.
Yeah. Doing a lot better of keeping him protected. So
I want to shout out DraftKings too for putting before we wrap up here. I want to shout out DraftKings. I'm just looking at this graphic and I'm just laughing at Jordan Love actually being on here. Like, that's kind of disrespectful to AJ Brown. I get it. It's a quarterback versus a receiver, and this is just a quarterback award, but it makes me kind of mad that Jordan Love is above AJ Brown. That just
yeah,
how terrible Jordan Love had been up to this 3-game streak that he's on. Like, he is playing fine now, but up to this point, he wouldn't be in this conversation.
Yeah, and I'm surprised his odds are comparison with Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. Like,
oh yeah, that's massive disrespect to them. Somebody that was terrible for the first 7 games of the year and he's just now playing good. No, that's disrespect.
Yeah, and I agree with CJ Stroud at plus 5,000. He's a long shot. He'd have to really go Madden on people to.
Bro, you're already going to be the rookie of the year. Calm down. You're good.
Yeah. But I mean, this list, I believe Purdy at the top, Hurts behind him, but yeah, I think Lamar should be ahead of Tua. Mahomes is right where he's at. Dak should be at least back with Patrick Mahomes or Tua. Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey as the 2 position players, next. I can kind of agree with that.
Behind the 6 best quarterbacks, I get it. Yeah. It's a quarterback award, but yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. And, Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence at plus 3,500. I mean, at this point in the season, I can definitely agree with that. Both those quarterbacks are up and down. Although
I'm really surprised Josh Allen is this high. Trevor Lawrence too.
Yeah, compared to Trevor Lawrence, I'm surprised Josh Allen is at the same odds as Trevor Lawrence. But
He's been better than Trevor Lawrence. I mean, when you look strictly at the numbers, Josh's numbers are better than Trevor Lawrence because his touchdown rate, he actually has not thrown that many touchdowns this year. If you look at it, it's kind of bad, but the team overall is playing better in Jacksonville than in Buffalo because Buffalo's just will win 2 games, lose, win. Like, I don't know what the hell's going to happen to Buffalo. They're probably going to fall out of the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, yeah, you know, and yeah, you look at all these guys and they all have good coaches too. You know, they all have good coaches. And
Justin.
yeah, except, I mean, Justin Herbert, no, he doesn't have a good coach. But you look at like the top guys, you look at from Purdy, the Herbert,
for sure.
Prescott. Well, I still give Mike McCarthy that much credit. So maybe, yeah.
Say pump or no, who's his coordinator? Let's give his coordinator. Or no, he lost his coordinator to the Chargers. I don't know who the coordinator in Dallas is.
Well, Mike's calling the plays, so
also same thing.
Yeah, but you have that. Yeah, who Tua? You know, he has a good coach. Lamar has a good coach. Patrick has a good coach. You know, Josh still has a good coach, and you know Trevor has a good coach. You know, so
yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and take that down. There we go. Back to us. I think with that, this has been a really fun, just kind of half debate, half examination of the state of the MVP race now that Purdy's decided to catapult himself up there. So I think now I need to tell you guys all about our sponsor. That's been a wonderful sponsor for the run of the show, RoyalRetros.com. It's your go-to place to get an authentic throwback jersey. They have an awesome 49er-themed candlestick collection right now where they have 49ers jerseys. They actually have a couple Giants jerseys in there too, like the San Francisco Giants. Like, calm down. It's not those Giants. But anyway, if you find something cool that you like in there, or if you find anything else on there, because they cover all the major sports with these throwback jerseys, throw it in your cart and then use the promo code Shady Sports to get 10% off of your order, your whole order, not just one item. Again, it's the promo code Shady Sports to get 10% off of your entire order. If you go right now to RoyalRetros.com, go to Royal Retros right now and get yourself an authentic throwback jersey today. Again, promo code Shady Sports. James, let the people know about the little charity we're doing.
So, guys, recently in the news, when it comes to owners, we've had the minority owner, the Houston Texans, charged with very serious sexual crimes in Kentucky. You also have Jed York, the COO of the 49ers, in a insider trading scandal with a company that was known to help students cheat during the pandemic. So we have these two owners, and recently in the news, we have Von Miller allegedly assaulting his pregnant girlfriend. Now, with Jed York, with the Houston Texans minority owner, the NFL knew for months to years and said nothing about it. But Von Miller, we heard the very next day. We heard even before he turned himself in. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, I'm sure there was a warrant issued for the Texans minority owner, and he had to go turn himself in to get booked. We didn't hear about it. We didn't hear about it from the NFL, but we hear it as soon as it happens with Von Miller. And we here at Niner Nuts are sick of it. And so we are trying to start a hashtag, owner standards are less than player standards, hashtag owner accountability. And to show you we put our money where our mouth is, we are selling T-shirts for charity to raise money for a Kentucky Crisis Center. So the first shirt that we have is our statement shirt, owner standards are less than player standards, hashtag owner accountability. All our T-shirts start at $22.99, but we have a large array of colors, different styles and different sizes. So if you want to make the statement that we are, you can get this T-shirt. But next, if you want a little bit stylish shirt, we have the owner standoff shirt. In the middle at the bottom is Dan Snyder, the guy who is bringing all the owner stuff to light, had the blackmail PowerPoint. He said, if I'm going down, you're all going down with me. And so this is the shirt that we made for charity to do it. Basically, $22.99 gets you that in the tea. Next, we have our podcast logo art. You'll find this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. This is the logo that you will see in our profile. You can get that on the t-shirt, $22.99, all different styles and all different sizes. Next, we have our Niner Nuts alternate logo, Debo. Looks like a nice shirt. You listen to the show, $22.99 gets you that in a premium tee. And we have that in different colors, different styles, and all different sizes. And last but not least, Debo, if you really like our shirts, you really like our show, I would really love you to buy this shirt. How can you say no to a peanut, eating peanuts while sitting on the couch, rooting for his San Francisco 49ers? $22.99 gets you that in the tee. All different styles, all different sizes. Buy one of our shirts, donate to charity today. All the proceeds go to a Kentucky Crisis Center.
Yeah, like James said, we don't want any money for these shirts. We just want you to have a cool shirt while you are helping a family in need.
Also, what you have to do is Google Niner Nuts Apparel, go to thebonfire.com.
Yeah, I had to make room for Eric, so that's not on here on the screen anymore. But yeah, just
Bonfire right there at the top. Search Bonfire and Niner Nuts Apparel.
The link is in the episode description too. No matter where you're on YouTube, Spotify, the link's in the episode description.
Even on Twitter, if you follow us on Twitter, it's on there as well.
It's a pinned tweet, isn't it?
It's a pinned tweet, but it's also in our profile. I think it's somewhere in our profile too.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. All the bases covered. It's okay. The screen looks a little nicer. In case you didn't notice, I made the screen look a little nicer now that we have to have 3 screens on here more often. But anyway, the only thing, nothing really going on in the news right now. We are taping this on Monday, and Jacksonville is currently ahead of Cincinnati. Congratulations. You know the result of that game before we do. But yeah, no news about what's going on with Greenlaw or Big Dom yet. At least while we're taping this, we'll probably hear a ruling on that on the 5th, probably the 6th. I'd imagine it's going to happen within those next few days. But yeah, other than that, guys, we're going to be kicking off hosting Seattle. Yeah, we're playing Seattle a second time in 3 weeks. And that'll kick off at 4 o'clock. 1 o'clock West Coast time, and it's going to be on Fox. It's probably going to be with Mr. Butt Fumble, so I'm going to listen to Greg Papa call that game. But yeah, we're going to be hosting Seattle. Let's do our best to make this not a trap game, and yeah, just continue to try to get the first.
And don't forget to check us out on Friday at 12 p.m. with our betting tips and parlay picks. Check us out on Friday on Shady Sports Network or our Niner Nuts YouTube channel. With that being said, outro music, River Road, Justin Muth.
Beat the Seahawks. We'll see you Friday.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long. River Road, where have all the women gone? Have they kissed her hand and waved you bye-bye? Have they thought about crossing your double yellow lines? River Road, they love